No layers?
No, Photoshop didn't get layers till 3. He's the kind of guy that would break into your house and steal your guitars. That's the kind of guy he was. No watermark. Everybody had Photoshop open in the whole room.
How did you get into it?
So I was, this is many years ago. Dinosaurs ruled the earth. This is amazing. The bridge stinks. The bridge is awful. I hate the way this interview is going. Oh. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Scott Dinda. We are brothers, long-lost brothers, from different countries and different mothers. I'd like to talk about my new iPhone case. I just got it yesterday. It's made by Peel. It's very appealing. Get it? And look, it's clear. It's clear. So you see the beautiful back of the iPhone?
I do. Your exposure okay with that light?
Yep.
Yeah, it looks pretty good, actually.
Either I'm exposed or the other person is exposed.
Well, let's expose you because I'm overexposed. This is going to be a great interview.
Yep.
Here we go.
Here we go.
All right, let me make sure my phone's off.
That's a great reminder.
All right. Oh, my glasses. Let's put them on so I see who I am. Oh, look, there we are.
There we are. So,
Hi. How are you?
hi, I'm doing good. All right, it's recording.
Is yours recording?
Yes, can I
Excellent.
check yours?
Yes, you may, please.
Yeah, it is recording. There we
Excellent.
go. Okay. Hi, everybody. How are you doing today? Today with me, I have a special guest, the legend himself, the Photoshop guru, the expert of the experts, and Scott Kelby.
How can I possibly live up to that? Well, thank you.
Well, you didn't get the joke.
Oh, is there a joke?
Legend of the legend, and Scott Kelby.
Oh, man, that's harsh. I hate the way this interview is going.
Seriously, when I look at your profile, I was so surprised that you have written so many books. How many books has it been by now?
So it's over 80 books according to my editor's count.
How do you get the time to write those books?
Now, it's important to understand, I started writing these 22 years ago.
Okay.
So I didn't do them all like last week. It's been over a 22-year period. So when you look at it that way, it's about 4 books a year. So
Okay, but still, 4 books a year is not a joke.
yeah, no, I do, it's going to sound crazy, but I do write very quickly because I write the way I talk. So I'm very fast at typing, and I've just over the years, gotten really quick about it. I know my topic really well before I write the book. And so I kind of know, I write a whole full outline of what I'm going to do. So then I just sit down and I go, okay, chapter 1, these are the 14 things I'm going to write about. And it honestly takes longer to find the images than it does to write. The writing part is
Exactly,
easy.
that's the thing, because whenever I'm creating tutorials, finding the images, finding bad images, that's what it's difficult.
I don't have any problem finding bad image. I take tons of bad images, but it's finding an image that really illustrates what the technique is in a clear fashion. I spend hours trying to find just the right image because I want someone to really clearly be able to see, oh, okay, this is why I would want to do that. Sometimes on video, it's subtle, and sometimes in print, it can be very subtle, where on your computer, you see it and it's very vivid. So finding the right image is a challenge.
So you came up with your latest book, Adobe Photoshop Lightroom CC for digital photographers.
Yeah, it's on Lightroom Classic.
Lightroom Classic CC.
They call it Classic CC. I know,
So
it's crazy.
it's a really confusing thing that they have done. What are your thoughts on that? Should have they kept the name same, or should have created the cloud version? What do you think?
I would have loved if they had named, instead of naming the desktop version Classic, either name it just Desktop, or I would have preferred, and I think a lot of people would have, called it Lightroom Pro. Because it really is for people who are the most demanding users, right? It has all these other features that the cloud version doesn't have.
Exactly.
And it's really for a different market. It's for a more advanced and professional market. And it would have, I think, rather than calling it Classic, which kind of sounds old,
Yes, it does.
it would have been great to call it Pro or Desktop or, something. You could have come up with almost any name that would have been better than Classic. So I'm not crazy about the name.
Makes sense. Since you have written so many books and most of them are bestsellers, I'm hoping, yes, they are. So what really makes a book tick? What I mean, there are same stuff that people teach. A lot of people teach Lightroom, they teach Photoshop.
Sure.
Yep, they teach the same techniques. Of course, you have your own methods to do it, like Slim and other methods. So what makes a book tick and making people want to read it?
Well, I think it's two things. When I write a book, I write the book like I'm teaching a friend. So it's very conversational, and I think about, and I even will stop myself and think, if I were out shooting with a friend, is this how I would say it? And I erase it and go back and rewrite it. So I try to write everything like it. So, and I think the reader feels that connection. Like I feel like he's writing to me, and the reason is because I'm trying to write everything. So I don't try to use fancy words. I don't write differently than I am in person. So it's like, so I think that's one. And I think the other thing, and this is I think the most important thing, is I try to write in a way that will help people get results.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if their photos don't look better, if their experience isn't better and they're working faster in Lightroom, we're getting the results they want in Photoshop. That's the end of the book. Right.
Exactly.
So I try to make sure that I set them up for success, that if they're going to read the book, whatever it is, whether it's photographically or in post-processing, that they're going to see the same results. And I also have to give credit to my editors. So my editors test everything that I write. So you don't get stuck later and go, wow, this doesn't work. This doesn't look right. They've done every single tutorial in the book, and they catch if I forgot a little thing. They write it in. They'll go, whoops, you're supposed to deselect, and you didn't write deselect. I'm like, will you please just write deselect? So I write everything but the words deselect.
Okay. You have been a guitar player, right? And I was talking to you the other day, and you said you played till you were 32.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how many guitars do you own right now?
Well, I wasn't a guitar player really back then. So my main instrument is probably keyboards and drums. So I started as a drummer, and then I played professionally for many, many years as both drums and then keyboards. And so I started picking up guitar on the side. I would say guitar is my hobby.
Okay.
Which is why I have so many darn guitars.
Okay.
So what you see here at the office, which is maybe we have 23 or 24 here, is less than half of what I have. Because back at my house, I've got another 20-something guitars there. So I have 40, I think I have 42 now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a lot of guitars.
So which one? Yeah, that's a lot of. Do you play them? All of them?
Oh yeah, I pull them off the wall.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's probably some I haven't played in a couple of years, but I do. I'll go and say, oh, let's go down the hallway and pick a new one. I'll hang up the one I was using and go get another one.
Which one for you is the most memorable one, or the one you first purchased? Do you still have the guitar that was your first guitar?
Well, man, my first guitars were years ago. You know, my first guitar was stolen.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I was. My girlfriend's brother broke in my house and stole both of my guitars.
Wow.
I know.
I mean, he might have it.
This
right
was
now.
a long time ago. I've been married 29 years, so it was
Okay.
before that. But yeah, he stole, and we took him to a pawn shop, and he sold my guitars because he later admitted it.
Difficult to get.
But we knew it was him. He was that kind of guy. He's the kind of guy that would break in your house and steal your guitars. That's the kind of guy he was.
Being in that industry, the music industry, for so long, how has it helped you in this industry after switching as an instructor, as a book writer, or you started as a graphic designer?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it helped me in the education industry because I was used to speaking in front of a crowd.
Yep.
So I wound up being the front man for our band. And so while I was not the lead singer, I sing a couple of songs, you know, but I'm not the lead singer. I'm definitely in the backup band. But I was the one that would talk between the breaks. So that helped me with my public speaking and being able to communicate. And what helped me with my business end was I was also the leader of the band. So I was in charge of keeping the band working, negotiating deals, and having to basically be the business of a band. And one of the things that made our band successful was we ran our band like a business.
Okay.
A lot of bands run their band like a band, and it's chaos. But ours was, we really ran it like a real business. So it did give me a lot of years, and it's not easy dealing with nightclub owners and agents and promoters. It's a sticky, much stickier business than this. Most of the people I deal with today are very honorable, good people.
Yes.
Back in the bar business, it wasn't quite the same.
I understand that.
So it did help. It did help you to have to deal with all kinds of people in all kinds of situations.
Now you're dealing with easier people.
Much easier, much nicer people today than the bar business. Because a lot of times you were negotiating with people who were drinking.
Oh, wow.
And,
So it's difficult.
There's
do
very
that in
little
that
drinking.
moment.
Yeah, very little drinking here when we do business deals.
Let's talk about Photoshop. You've been the Photoshop guy for like decades. So where do you see Photoshop going in future in a couple, 3, 5 years? Do you have any idea?
Well, I see Adobe incorporating more of the machine learning and AI stuff. And I think what they're doing, because I know that some people are kind of hesitant about that. But I think if you look at what they're doing, like they just added this thing called Select Subject.
Yes, they did.
It works amazingly well. And it will continue to get better as they improve it. But I think it's not doing your job for you. Because I think that people are afraid, like, well, I don't want Photoshop to do my job for me. I don't think it's doing that. It's doing the things that you don't want to do, the things that are production-wise and that take up your time. I want to spend my time in Photoshop being creative.
Yep.
I don't want to do production tasks. And I think that that's what you'll see is more of them taking away the boring production stuff, automating as much of it as possible to actually leave you freer to have more time to do the creative fun stuff.
Now, I have a very debatable question that I always had from all of the people, and I'm sure you had that as well. And that is, you see all these images on Facebook or on Twitter or on Instagram. Some are watermarked, some are not watermarked. So what do you think? Watermark or no watermark?
No watermark. So look, if someone wants to steal your images, they're going to steal them and they're going to remove your watermark. Your watermark isn't doing anything but hurting the people that aren't going to steal your image. So let's take a look.
Okay.
So you've got a huge following. If you decided to put an image online, on Instagram or whatever, so how many people are likely to steal your image and use it for some commercial purposes? Two, three.
Yep.
How many people are going to have the experience of your photograph ruined by you putting a big watermark on it? Hundreds of thousands, maybe millions. It's just, you're killing it for everybody on the instance that maybe somebody would take it. Look, the way that the laws are here in the United States, if someone steals my image and uses it commercially, number one, I'll probably find out about it. There's so many ways to do a search, to do image search, and companies that will search your images for you. But besides that, there's also the fact that you'll just run across it on your own. And I've done that numerous times where someone has used my image. If someone were to take my image that's copyrighted, because I copyright my images, if they took my image and used it in a commercial one, it would be like the biggest payday. So please steal my images, put them up online so I can get a huge payday. So now I want to make it clear that putting a watermark to protect your image is bad, but branding is good. If out of the way you put your name so people can go, oh, I might want to buy this, right? Here's who I contact to get this. That's different. Branding means, if you like this, call me. Watermark means I'm going to put something over this image so you can't steal it, and it affects the look. If you do your branding right, it can actually make the photo look better.
Yeah.
So that's what there's
That's
a clear
cool
difference
one.
between the two there.
So talking about all this, we are talking about Photoshop. How did you get into Photoshop? I mean, what was your first instance with Photoshop? How did you get into it?
So I was, this is many years ago. Dinosaurs ruled the earth. And I was doing a magazine, and back then we would take the black and white photos the client would give me. We would send them out to a company. They would take a stat camera, a camera bigger than this table, take a picture of our picture, and they would put a line screen of dots over it so it could be reproduced on a printing press. They would come back looking so horrible. They were washed out. They had big circles on. I couldn't stand it. And it would come out, and I've been looking at magazines and newspapers all my life, and I go, I don't like the way this looks. They're not contrasty. And a friend finally told me, you need to be doing this. You need to get Photoshop. You need to scan the photos, and then you need to output them to film negative. And so I did it. I went and bought Photoshop.
Okay.
And I
Which
bought a
version
scanner.
was back then? Sorry to interrupt.
Photoshop 2.
That was just way back.
No layers.
No layers?
No,
kidding me?
Photoshop didn't get layers till 3. So there was 2, and then there was 2.5, and it wasn't until 3, which literally years later. Yeah, so if you wanted to do a drop shadow, you had to do it in channels. You did everything in channels. You lived your life in channels. So then I did that. I basically went, scanned everything, and the first time the magazine came out, my client was like, "This is amazing," and I'm like, "This is amazing," and I never looked back. So literally, I was a graphic designer, and I got Photoshop to make my black and white photos in a magazine look great. And then I kind of fell in love with Photoshop because that's easy to do.
So then you switched to that industry?
So I was already in a graphic design at that point. So my wife and I had started a graphic design company. We wound up mostly doing advertising, and we mostly became the graphic design department for small ad agencies that were too small to have their own department. So we became their department. We had really nice offices, and it's not like we put a lot of money into them, but they were just, the shape of our offices were really cool, and there's all this glass and stuff. And so we made it look really cool. We had really
This
cool
office is
art.
really cool as well.
Oh,
I mean,
thank you,
loved
thanks.
it. Yeah. So
Well, our original office was as big as the set, but my wife has a really great flair for design, and she made that place look so cool. And we had a meeting room, and we had all this stuff, and clients loved to come out. We couldn't get them out; they'd hang out all day long. It was a cool place.
it's coming from Photoshop without layers. Right now, we're at a place where Photoshop is really, I mean, it's the industry standard software. Yeah. So where do you think, which features do you want in Photoshop or Lightroom coming up that you wish for? If you had to, like, if you had the control to put any feature in, what would it be for you? Do you have any off of your mind?
Well, there's no feature that I've been dying for. Photoshop's a very mature product.
Yep,
so
it is.
Most of my Photoshop wishes are for them to fix or change things that are already there.
Yes.
I don't go, man, you know what I wish Photoshop would do? Because it does, you know.
Pretty much everything.
Yeah, that's the difference between Lightroom and Photoshop. Lightroom can do a certain amount of things, but it's just the sliders that are there.
Yes.
So you do hit a wall. There's no wall with Photoshop. Because with Photoshop, it's up to what you can do. Like, you can go as far, figure it this way. If you look out in the world and you see an image on a billboard or in a movie or in a whatever, it almost undoubtedly went through Photoshop, regardless of what it is. At some point, I remember going to Hollywood and getting a tour of, what was it? It wasn't Warner. It was one of the big design companies that all they did was movie trailers.
Oh, wow.
That's all they did was movie trailers. And I got a tour. And they did all the big studios. In fact, it was on the not the Warner Brothers lot. It was on the Paramount.
Okay.
Paramount Digital Design. They're a whole company, and all they do is trailers. So I got to go in there and see. And I thought, this is going to be boring. My buddy was into After Effects. And I thought, we're going to go around. They're all going to be doing Premiere Pro and After Effects. Everybody had Photoshop open in the whole room. They're all doing Photoshop. I'm like, what are you guys doing in Photoshop? And they go, we build everything in Photoshop, and then we animate it in After Effects. And
oh, my God.
I just didn't realize at that point how ingrained Photoshop was in the movie industry. Like, they do all their titling and all this different stuff, and they would show me these multi-layered documents. Now they're moving through things and all. I'm like, I didn't expect to see Photoshop on everyone's machine. It was like going to a Photoshop convention. Everyone was working in Photoshop.
I want to get your opinion on this. I know you're totally against that, but I really want to get your opinion and want you to talk about that. What do you think of Bridge? Should people use Bridge? When you have Lightroom, when you have such amazing program called Lightroom CC or Classic CC, so what's the need of Bridge?
Bridge is needed by graphic designers. Graphic designers need a way to move between images, between InDesign and Illustrator and Dreamweaver and Muse and whatever. That's who needs the Bridge. But as for photographer goes, here's what we say. The Bridge, there's a reason why it's free. The Bridge stinks. The Bridge is awful. It's slow and it's horrible and it's bad. I did a thing called 100 Reasons Why Lightroom Kicks the Bridge's.
I know.
Rhymes with grass. Anyway, I did 100 videos that were 1 minute apiece.
You did?
We did. I did 100 videos.
Where
and I would
is it?
show, well, it's online somewhere.
Okay.
I did it like, 6 years ago, but we went feature by feature. And people would write me and they'd go, I only got to feature 4 and I never used Bridge again. Like, people wouldn't get into the 30s or the 40s or the 50s because it's so bad, but people just don't realize it. And what happens is when people switch to the Bridge to Lightroom, because they would tell me, I don't see the difference. I'm like, oh. And then they would switch and then they go, I should have switched years ago. I had no idea. I thought they were the same. And I'm like, no, it's a different world. But
so limited.
It's so limited. Oh, and it's so slow.
Oh, yeah. And there's a reason, of course, it's free, why they don't develop it or make it faster.
Yeah, they stopped developing it years ago.
I've been with you in the office. I've seen your work from afar, from the other side of the world. So what drives you to be busy always and keep working? I mean, what drives you?
I just love my job. I think I'm just a teacher at heart, and I just love sharing new things. Like I love sharing restaurants.
Yep.
like you got to go to this place.
I love the egg rolls, by the way. Totally amazing.
Amazing. They're
You should try
Cuban
that.
egg rolls. Oh my gosh, they're so good. I just found them a few weeks ago. But I'm that kind of person where if I see a great movie or a great restaurant or learn something new, whatever it is, I have to run out and tell my friends. So it's just, I think that's just my personality is if I learn something new, I want to share it. Well, I try to learn new stuff all the time. I'm kind of like you. I watch a lot of videos and I follow certain people, and when they share stuff, I want to learn. I always want to learn new stuff. I think that's what drives me. I really enjoy my job. I work with great people. You've met a lot of my people. We have a great team here. They're fun to work with.
They're always chilled out, fun to work with,
Yeah.
always fun. I mean, they enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. And secondly, with all of these things that you have achieved all over the years, what are you looking forward to in 2018?
2018 retirement? No, no. I have personal things that we're working on, like for the company. I have personal goals. I'm working on publishing my first photography book. So I'm working on that. I'm trying to get it out by the end of the year. So that's like my personal goal.
So that would be your next book?
Well, it's not my next educational book. It is just a photography book. It's just a book of my photos. So it's called The Great Indoors, and it's all about classic interiors from around the world.
Is it a coffee table book?
It's a coffee table
Wow.
book. Yes, it's just no teaching.
Okay.
All pictures. And
That's
so,
an inspiration.
Yeah, I'm working on for 2018. And I'm working on, certification, professional certification. So people will be able to, help differentiate their skills when they go looking for a job. Like we have we have all the logistics done. We're working on the testing now that they'll be able to watch a certain number of classes, take a certain number of tests, practice tests, mini tests,
At KelbyOne.
here at KelbyOne, and then they will get a K1 certification in Lightroom or a K1 certification in Photoshop or wedding photography. Yeah, because like if you're both looking for a job and you're looking at the resumes and you're both are pretty well matched, if one of you is certified in Photoshop,
By KelbyOne.
oh, we'll take the certified one because it's going to be a challenging test. It's not going to be something that just anybody will be able to. You'll be able to pass it, but
I hope so.
you'll be able to pass it. But it's a tough test. It's a challenging test, and it's supposed to be. If you're going to say someone's certified, they darn well better know it. So it's going to be.
They should. Personal question at the end.
Sure.
How did you find me?
On YouTube.
I know.
I was
but-
looking for a particular technique. I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
And you came up as one of the and you
Search
had
results.
Search results, and you have just a great look. You just look like a really nice
Thank
person.
you.
And by the way, you are.
Thank you.
But you
Appreciate that.
are the same person that you come across on video. When people see
Mm-hmm.
you on video, you're the same person off stage as you are. You're very humble, funny, interesting. And so I watched like just a few seconds of your video to see, oh, is this guy any good? He looks cool. And I'm like, hey, I like this guy. And your tutorial was great. And I started following you, and that's
you.
so that's kind of how I found you.
Yeah.
The
And
magic of
that's-
YouTube.
And that's how I am. Okay. Now, I need to start my camera again.
Uh-oh.
It's been 30 minutes.
Oh, wow, that went quick.
I asked the last question again. Sorry about that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So, the camera just stopped recording because I don't know why the camera manufacturers put that limit. Do you have any idea why they do that?
No idea. It's obviously some kind of a technological barrier.
Okay. So is that a tax thing? What is it? That 30-minute thing? Do you
I have
any-
no idea. It used to be 12 minutes. There was a long time. All the camera companies were like 12 minutes. Now they're 30. So next
again-
year, 60.
60. So
That
yeah,
would be
I
nice.
should get a cinema camera anyway. What they're using, C100s. So finally, last question: how did you find me? I'm asking this the second time.
So I was on YouTube looking for some particular tutorial, because a lot of times you've learned something and you just can't remember. I did that 3 years ago and I can't remember.
Exactly.
So I go and I look up, and I think that YouTube is great for learning like a particular thing. So I looked for something and I saw you there. And I hadn't seen you before. I'm like, wow, this guy looks really, you're very handsome and young.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you very much.
And so
I'm flattered.
I hit the play button to see, is this guy for real? And I loved your passion and enthusiasm, and your technique was right on the money. And I'm like, wow, this guy's really good. And it's interesting that now that I've met you in person, you are the same person off screen that you are on screen. You're very humble, you're funny, you're nice, you're just like I would hope that you would be. I have met people who are very different on camera.
Yes.
Where they're off screen, they're two different people. Like they have an on-screen persona, and then but you're the same person on screen and off screen, and your tutorial was right on the money. And I'm like, I like this guy, follow. And then I've seen other things from you over the years, and I went to my staff one day and said, have you guys seen this guy? He's from Mumbai, India. He's really good. I really like this guy. And then you got more fans in the building, and so we started talking.
So that's the reason why I'm here interviewing the legend, Scott Kelby.
No,
and so, yeah.
You're the legend of legends.
Thank you so much.
And I'm Scott Kelby. You're the legend of legends, and I'm that other guy. Okay.
So one last question popped up on my head. Do you watch your own tutorials? Because I do. I forget.
No, I don't like seeing me on camera. No, I don't watch episodes of The Grid after they're over. I don't like watching me. I'm like, no, thank you. I because that way I can imagine in my head. It's much better than it is.
So thank you so much for joining me for this
interview. The honor
was
mine.
Really appreciate that. Thank you, everybody. So here is another episode of the interviews. I hope you liked it, and if you did, make sure to give us a like, and also don't forget to subscribe, and not just subscribe, ring the bell, because if you don't ring the bell, you'll not see the notification. Thank you so much for joining in. I'll see you guys on the next one. Till then, stay tuned and make sure that you keep creating. Thank you.
You bet.
Yep, you're done.
You bet.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm all warmed up to do my class now.
Yeah.
Let's see where we're going to take my